What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. Today, I am going to be doing my final driver lineup predictions for the Cup Series for 2021. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. I'm going to be doing full-time drivers and part-time drivers as well. There are going to be a lot of teams, so stick around and watch the whole thing, and hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Anyway, to start off, we're going to talk about the Double Zero car. This should be no surprise to anybody. I believe Quin Houff is going to be driving Double Zero. Remember, Quin Houff signed a 2-year contract with Starcom Racing at the beginning of 2020 after Landon Cassill was let go in 2019. Now, Landon Cassill hasn't raced recently that much. And honestly, I think Quin Houff has put together a not fantastic year. He's been all right. He's ran about 30th to 35th on a week-to-week basis. I don't think Quin Houff's going to really improve. I just think he's going to run about where he has been this year because I don't think those Starcom cars are really that fast. But I think Quin Houff will remain about where he is, and he will be driving the Double Zero car in 2021. Up next, we're going to talk about the 0-2 car. Now, the 0-2 car will be back in the Cup Series for the first time, in my opinion, since 2009. And the driver of this car is going to be Austin Cindric. Now, for those of you unaware, Austin Cindric is going to be driving part-time in the Cup Series, probably on the road course races, and wouldn't shock me at Daytona 500. Austin Cindric is a development driver at Team Penske and a Ford development driver currently at the moment. And like I said, he's expected to make some Cup starts in 2021, select Cup starts, and then in 2022, he's expected to go full-time in Wood Brothers Racing number 21 car. I believe that Austin Cindric will drive the 0-2 car at all the road course races, and I think that he will drive it at the Daytona 500 as well. Now, they will have to qualify in for the event, which with how fast the Penske cars are generally, I think he definitely will make the Daytona 500 on speed alone in practice and qualifying as well, because there will be practice and qualifying for that event. And now up next, we're going to move on to the one car. This should be no surprise. That will be going to Kurt Busch. Now, this is a contract year for Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is in his final year with Chip Ganassi in 2021. There is a possibility that Kurt Busch could be retiring after 2021. It's a very 50-50 shot that he could retire, and there's also a chance he could run in 2022, because Kurt Busch said at the beginning, I think, of this year that he would like to run the next-gen car, but the fact that, one, he's a little bit older, and two, Kurt Busch is not certain if he's going to run in 2022, I have a really bad feeling that this is going to be Kurt Busch's final full-time Cup Series season. Now, I don't think Kurt Busch is going to be completely done in NASCAR, but I believe that Kurt Busch will run his final season in 2021 as a full-time driver, and I think it will go up the Fox commentary for the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series as well. Up next, driving a 2-car next year, this should be no surprise, it is going to be Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski, back in August, signed a 1-year contract extension with Team Penske. Now, this contract extension could get extended, but as of right now, his contract ends after this year. It's, like I said, is a 1-year extension. Brad Keselowski and Jerry Bones teamed up at the beginning of this year, and they have had some really strong numbers. Both of them have, and they put together some really strong runs. They are a team that has a really good shot at winning a championship because on the 750 horsepower package Trex, they have been extremely fast. And I feel very certain and very confident that I think that Brad Keselowski will be a really good driver, especially in 2021. And I think he will continue his success he has had in 2020. Up next, driving a 3-car, this should be no surprise, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon has had a really big resurgence here from 2019 to 2020. RCR in general has really drastically taken a major steps forward. Both of those cars last year didn't even crack top 20 points. Both of them are in the top 20 in points currently. I'm talking about Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon. But Austin Dillon, especially in the playoffs, was an underdog this season. I mean, he was very fast at Richmond. Had probably the car to beat at Richmond, to be honest. But unfortunately, late race missing on pit road. Ended up finishing 4th. Still a really good run. And in the first half of these playoffs, he was really strong. If Austin Dillon can continue to carry that next year, I think he will be in for long-term success. And I think Austin Dillon really has to start showing what he is capable of, like he's been in the playoffs. That's what I think he's been capable of. But let's see what he does in 2021. Up next, driving the 4-car next year. Again, this should be no surprise. Kevin Harvick's driving the 4. Kevin Harvick, at the beginning of this year, signed a 3-year contract, I think a 2-year contract extension, along with the contract extension he had, which was supposed to end after this upcoming season. Will be with, at least with SHR through 2023. Kevin Harvick, what is there to say about Harvick? He has been extremely dominant up to this point in 2021. I think Kevin Harvick will, not 21, 2020, I think continues to success as he has had his best career season ever. 9 career victories. That was finished like a 7th place. He's been just incredible to watch this year and arguably the favorite to win the championship. I believe with there being no practice qualifying for majority races next year, I think that's going to play a big benefactor to Kevin Harvick, and I think Kevin Harvick will continue the big success in 2021, especially with Rodney Childs and him working together. I think that's going to be a really big benefactor to helping Kevin Harvick. Up next, driving a 5 car in 2021, and this is where things get really exciting. The 400 car is going to be driven by Kyle Larson. Many people in the industry have been saying this, and many people like myself have been saying that Kyle Larson is expected to drive the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports. It looks like you're going to be switching the 88 number over to the 5 car. One of the big sponsors that expected to go is Lumar. Remember, Kyle Larson was let go and fired from Chip Ganassi after saying a racial slur during an iRacing event. Just this past week on Monday, he was reinstated back into NASCAR. Very exciting day, especially for the fans. Kyle Larson will go to Hendrick Motorsports. I'm expecting this to either come after Martinsville when Chase and Bowman are eliminated or after the Phoenix Championship race when Jimmy Johnson is retired. I think this announcement comes in a few weeks, and I believe that Kyle Larson is going to drive the 5 car. And I think there's a lot of exciting things for Kyle Larson fans. I think he's going to be good at Homestead, a track where he's been historically really strong, and I think he's going to be really strong at a track like the Bristol Dirt Race. He's always really going to favor. Of course, guys like Chase Briscoe and Chris Rebel are going to be strong next year, but I think both those guys are going to continue to put up some really strong performances against Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson's going to be the favorite to win that race. Up next, driving the 6 car next year, this all should be no surprise, Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman signed a 3-year contract extension. Again, 2021 was an option year, but I'm expecting Ryan Newman to return really ever since his crash where he had his bruised brain and an injury after crashing really hard at Daytona 500 with the Newman bar. Basically, it crushed the car, basically. Really hurt Ryan Newman, which sucks. Ryan Newman was out of car for a few weeks, came back from the pandemic. It really hasn't been the same. I believe that this will be Ryan Newman's final season in the Cup Series. Hopefully he goes out with a bang and definitely improves. I think the Roush cars are just not as good this year as they were last year. And I'm hoping Ryan Newman can continue the strong performances he had in the past because in a first year at the scene, almost made it to round of 12. This year is about 25th to 3rd to 25th, and the points kind of similar to what Chris Buescher, we'll talk about here very soon, has been this year. But I think that he will be pretty strong next year. I think it will improve next year. And as more time in the car, especially after missing a few races, I think Ryan Newman will continue the strong performances next year. Up next, driving the 7 car. Now, this 7 car is actually going to be the second part-time car. It's going to be a mixture between Josh Bilicki and Reed Sorensen, who have driven for Tommy Baldwin Racing. Now, for those of you that do not have knowledge, Tommy Baldwin made his return this year after basically missing most of 2019, didn't even race at all in 2019, didn't even run a Daytona 500. I really think that they will still kind of run in the back. They're not going to run up front, but I think that Josh Bilicki and Reed Sorensen will at least attempt to run Daytona 500 and probably all super speedway races in the big races like the Southern 500, like the Coke 600. I guarantee that they will attempt to run. I believe they have connections with Premium, with Freakway Racing, to my knowledge. I don't remember, but I think they have connections with them. But they will be an open team. They will not be a full-time team in 2021. Up next, driving the 8 car full-time is going to be Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick earlier this year confirmed that he will be returning to that team. There were rumors circulating he was going to drive the 48 car. But what does it say about Tyler Reddick? He has been really, really strong in 2021. I think he continues that performance. He's arguably been my favorite rookie to watch this year. He almost made a playoffs on speed alone, has been really close to winning races. Almost went home, said basically slowed down because he thought the checker flag was there, and almost had a really good shot at winning Phoenix, was up in the top 5, but then he got screwed because I think a tire went down to my knowledge, and then Darlington ran top 5, did really good there, and I think Tyler Reddick continues to assess, and I think he's an outside contender for the playoffs in 2021. Up next, driving the 9 car, this all should be no surprise, is going to be Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott is, at the moment, currently at 3 wins in the 2020 season, 2 of them on road courses. He continues his 4-race win streak at the road courses. I think he continues that success next year. I think he's arguably one of the favorites already going into 2020 because of all those road course races. He's arguably, I think, it's a good shot of already winning 6 or 7 races, and I think Chase Elliott's arguably one of the favorites already going into 2021, and I think he's going to get a lot of playoff points and a lot of stage points, especially in those races, and contend for the championship next year as well. Up next, driving a 10 car next year, again, another driver that got signed recently, Aric Almirola. Aric Almirola, about a month ago, announced a 1-year contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing. 25 races full-time with Smithfield, and then the rest of them probably a Gold Bowling High Point, which they're moving. High Point is there moving up the cup with Chase Briscoe. We're going to talk about here really soon. Eric Amarillo has overall in 2020 had a pretty good year. I think he will continue that success in 2021, and I think the performances that Eric Amarillo has had, I think will continue. I think Eric Amarillo will still be a really consistent driver. I think consistency is going to be key, and I think he will continue the same success that he had in 2020. Up next, driving the 11 car is going to be Denny Hamlin. Again, we already knew Denny Hamlin was returning. Now, Denny Hamlin is in a contract here, and I think a lot of people don't remember this. Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan formed a team called 23XI Racing, so he's going to be really focused on that, not as much as his driving career because he's not planning on leaving Joe Gibbs. I expect a contract extension here really shortly with this team, but Denny Hamlin has had arguably a really strong season again. He's had probably one of his career seasons, like Kevin Harvick has had a career year. Him and Chris Gabehart have really gelled together ever since they teamed up in 2019. I think the performances speak for themselves, and they continue to be a strong pairing. I think, once again, like Kevin Harvick, they will be a championship favorite once again, especially on the 550 horsepower package races. Now, there's only going to be 13 of those next year, so there's going to be a lack of those races for that. But I think Denny Hamlin will still be a top two driver, not on the short tracks in the 750 horsepower package, but I think he will continue to be a really strong driver with the 750 horsepower package. Well, I think he's going to be a strong driver overall next year once again. Up next, driving a 12 car next year, of course, this should be no shocker. It is going to be Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, the first half of this year, was incredibly strong. But in the second half of the year, really ever since he dominated Texas, his performance has really not spoken for himself. I think he's generally struggled since that point. And hopefully in 2021, he can really improve. I think he will. I think because of the pandemic, it really affected him, his cognitive mind, basically. And I think that Ryan Blaney will definitely improve in 2021, especially at tracks like short tracks where he's good. I hope that they can continue from the big early season speed, because it seems like that team always has really good early season speed. And also Ty Gordon over there, I think they're going to gel a lot better next year. They've gelled together really well this year, but I think they will do better. But they got to carry that early season speed into the end of the year, and hopefully next year, especially if they make the playoffs, which I think they're going to be up locked for the playoffs next year. If they can get out of those round of 16 races to get to round of 12 where they're really strong at, I think Ryan Blaney will continue to be a strong contender for the championship. Up next, driving the 14 car is going to be Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe was just announced this past week on Tuesday, to my knowledge, that he would be driving the 14 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. He'll be taking over the boss seat. Now, Clint Bowyer is retiring at the end of the 2020, and he's going up to the Fox Sports booth, which I think is a really big move for the Fox Sports booth. I think a lot of people should be really happy about Chase Briscoe taking this ride. Chase Briscoe has dominated the Xfinity Series this year with 9 victories. Again, it is a weaker field. That is a big fact. But Chase Briscoe has had to dominate regardless of how good you are or not. Chase Briscoe has done incredible. He's done phenomenal at that team this year. And I think he is a definite threat for the playoffs in 2021. Up next, driving the 15 car in 2021, I expected to go to Brennan Pool. Has not been confirmed if he's returning or not, and he did miss a few races just recently because of sponsorship problems. He put J.J. Yell in the car, and it is a premium car. But I believe that Brennan Pool will return. When he's ran for that team, he's been probably the top dog at the Premium Motorsports organization. He's been doing really well this year, and I think he will continue that success in 2021 and hopefully get that team a little bit better. They do have a charter, to my knowledge, and I think they will continue to bring a lot of success to that organization, Premium Motorsports, in 2021. Up next, we will see Kaulig Racing with the 16 car run part-time, and I believe that Justin Haley is going to be driving that car in those part-time races. Now, what do I expect races? Do I expect Kaulig Racing to run next year? I think they're going to attempt to run the road, maybe some road course races, and definitely I think they will attempt to run the Daytona 500 and all the super speedway races as well. They will have to qualify in for that race, but Justin Haley is a really good super speedway racer, so I think they're going to continue to have a lot of success, as they will be building probably to a full-time opportunity in 2022, and when that gets announced, probably next year when they go to full-time in Cup with the next-gen car coming around the corner, I think that that team will show a lot of speed next year, and I think they will continue to have a lot of success heading into 2021 in the Xfinity Series, where they've been really good. Justin Haley's been really strong with that team. AJ Allmendinger has been really good with that team as well in the Xfinity Series. And I think they will carry over that success in 2021. Up next, once again, driving the number 17 car is going to be Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher in 2020 kind of has been an extreme disappointment. I thought he was going to perform a lot better. Again, I think with no practice qualifying, he really couldn't gel with his crew chief over there at Roush Fenway. Again, Roush's cars are not as good as they were in 2019. I think that's a really big factor. Chris Buescher, I think right now is 23rd in the points to my knowledge, so he's kind of mid-pack in the races every week. He had a few good runs early in the playoffs and the latter stages of the regular season as well, but he didn't have enough good performances to really get into the playoffs this year. He was really good at the beginning of the year, and he was in the top 16 in points a majority of the early stages of the season, but really ever since he come back from the pandemic, they've really struggled, and hopefully they can improve, and I really think they're going to improve. I think the Roush cars are generally going to improve in 2021, but we're really going to have to see where they go from here. Up next, driving the 18 car in 2021, again, this is another one that doesn't surprise or shock me, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, while he has had probably one of the worst seasons of his career with still no victories after 33 races, and it's very likely he will not win in 2020 this year, I think in 2021 he will improve. There is a possibility that Adam Stevens isn't returning. Someone asked me a question, why ask me a stupid question like that? I think there's a very good chance Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch are not going to be pairing up next year. I think that possibility is very high and very likely. Again, there is a possibility they can work together again, but I think him and Kyle Busch are not gelling together as much as they did at the beginning, but we'll have to see what happens next year. But I think Kyle Busch will improve. I think he also will get out of his winless streak. So again, I don't think in 2020 he's going to win. I don't think the 3 tracks we're going to. Maybe Phoenix is the one race where he can honestly squeeze out a win, but we'll have to see because he wasn't really that great last time we were here as well. I think, again, he's one of those drivers that was affected by practice or qualifying, but I think he will improve in 2021. Up next, driving 19 car, again, another driver that we shouldn't be surprised returning is Martin Truex Jr. Now, Martin Truex Jr. is very interesting. I found this out recently. Martin Truex Jr. is in a contract extension. And they have a couple guys in the Xfinity Series that they're looking at toward the future, to my knowledge. Guys like Harrison Burton, guys like Brandon Jones were in the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. I mean, there's theories going around that I go to SHR in 2022. But for next year, Martin Truex Jr. needs to build on his relationship with James Small. They've been really consistent, especially in the second half in 2021. I think they really could build on it in 2021 and continue to build the speed they've had this year, the consistency, and I think they're going to get more wins. Now, I'm looking at Martinsville next year for sure, where they can show a ton of speed. Again, I think on the short tracks, road course as well, he's going to be a really big contender next year, and I think he will be up front for a majority of the races in 2021, and I think he will continue to put up great performances. Up next, driving the 20 car for 2021, this was confirmed recently, about 2 months ago, as a matter of fact. Christopher Bell moving over from Leviathan Racing, which are shutting down at the end of this year. He's moving over to the 20 car in 2021. Christopher Bell has a lot of talent. He's performed pretty well this year at that team. They're about a 20th place team on average. They have been really fantastic. Again, that team is kind of also affected by practice qualifying and affected they're not going to have, be back next year is a really great shame. I think Christopher Bell will be an outside playoff contender for sure. I think he actually will make the playoffs next year. And I think that Christopher Bell will finally score his first win at a track like Dover or Bristol. I think he will win early in the year next year. I think he's going to show a lot of speed. And I really hope they bring Jason Ratcliffe over. So I think that's a big reason why Eric Jones struggled. I'm just saying. I think that Christopher Bell will really do good next year. I think he's going to be definitely around a 12 or around a 16 contender for sure. And I think he will continue to improve as a driver here in the NASCAR Cup Series. Up next, driving the 21 car next year full-time is Matt DiBenedetto. Now, Matt DiBenedetto is, regardless of how he does this year, is in a contract year. He really this year has to perform, this upcoming season I should say, he has to perform really well. Because Matt DiBenedetto, I think he is a really talented driver, but he was kind of disappointing this year. Again, like a lot of other drivers we've talked about in this episode, they were affected by practice and qualifying, so I don't think that's why him and Greg Irwin were really able to gel. But this upcoming season, this is a crucial year for that team. They've got to gel, and they've got to win a race. They must win, because if he does well, he might be in that running for the 1 car in 2022, because remember, Kurt Busch is probably not returning in 2021. But like I said, that is something we're going to have to watch for next year. But I think Matty D is really capable of getting wins next year, and I think he will have a really good shot of contending throughout 4 wins in 2021. Up next, driving the 22 car in 2021, of course, is going to be Joey Logano. Now, Joey Logano is locked currently into the championship four after winning this past weekend at Kansas International Speedway, which that race was kind of a bad race. But I think Joey Logano will continue to have the same speed he's had this year. He's been really consistent. Him and Paul Wolfe have really gelled together. This is their first win in like 30 weeks this past weekend. But I think that Joey Logano is going to continue to have the same speed. The Penske cars have generally been fast this year, especially at a lot of these bigger racetracks, and definitely the races with the 750 horsepower package. I think that speed will continue in 2021, but we will have to see what happens. Up next, driving the 23 car next year for 23XI Racing, which is one of the new teams showing up on the block, it is going to be Bubba Wallace. Now, it is not confirmed who the crew chief or the manufacturer is, but we know that the team name is 23XI Racing and the car number is 23. Expectations are the 23 car is going to be a Toyota manufacturer, and there's two crew chiefs it's laid down to, Chris Gale and Mike Wheeler. I personally think it's going to be Mike Wheeler because Mike Wheeler has worked with Denny Hamlin in the past, and Denny Hamlin is one of the owners of this team. There is a lot of hype and a lot of expectations for this team in 2021. Personally, I think their goal is to try to make the playoffs in their first year. They're going to have Toyota back in next year with JGR as well, big JGR alliance as well. I think they're going to be really strong next year. Well, not going to be really strong. I think their goal is to get top 10s and top 15s as much as they can at the beginning of the year. And I think their goal is also not just make the playoffs, but get a win at some point at a track like Bristol or a track like Martinsville, because their Bubba Wallace, especially at the short tracks, has really shown his strength, and also on super speeds as well. I think he's going to be really strong, but I think at the beginning it's going to take him a little bit of time to get really used to it. But I think Bubba Wallace will put together some really strong runs, and I think he will continue the success he has had and build on this team in their first year in 2021. Up next, driving the 24 car in 2021, it's going to be William Byron. William Byron signed a 2-year contract, essentially. His contract does go through 2022. 2020 was not a very good year. It really hasn't been a great year for William Byron. Did he? Yes, he did get a win this year at Daytona. And Hendrick Motorsports definitely at times looked really fast. But William Byron, with him having no practice qualifying, being one of the youngest drivers in the field, it did not surprise me that his performances didn't go well. But depending on the crew chief who is, because remember, Chad Canals is not going to be returning to the crew chief stable in 2020 as he becomes like one of the main people at Hendrick Motorsports for competition, like the competition director for the whole team in general. Like everyone has to report to Chad Canals in that team, including the crew chiefs. There's two crew chiefs that are being rumored, Dave Ellens and Travis Max, one of them to my knowledge. Again, I think Dave Ellens would be a pretty good crew chief to have. He's done really good in the Xfinity Series, and he's worked with William Byron in the past. I think it's going to probably be a guy like Dave Ellens taking over crew chief. Again, don't let it be Keith Rodden, please. Be the Dave Ellens or Travis Mack, please, because those guys have evaluated their drivers in the past in the Xfinity Series. Up next, driving the 27 car, I think this is going to be a part-time car as well. I think it's going to be Greg Gaulding driving 27. I think Greg Gaulding has run really well, especially in the part-time starts he's been given. And I think Greg Gaulding will continue to get success to Rick Ware Racing, one of the better drivers like Brennan Pool. I think he's going to do really well with that team next year. And I think he will continue to build on success for Rick Ware Racing. Granted, they're probably still going to be a backmark team regardless. But I think that Greg Gaulding will give some really strong runs in 2021. Up next, driving the 32 car is going to be a mixture of drivers, with the main driver to me is probably going to be Ryan Ellis. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, just recently, last night or 2 days ago when you're watching this, Go Fast Racing announced that they would be going down, scaling back the part-time because they didn't have a lot of sponsorship built for next year. They're expected to run 6 or 7 races in 2021. My speculation is they're going to probably run all the road courses and attempt to run the Daytona 500 in 2021. Ryan Ellis is their PR person. I think he's going to run at least 1 or 2 of those races. Now, he said he's looking at running with a bunch of other teams, maybe like Rick Ware Racing as well. But I really have a really good feeling that Ryan Ellis is going to be one of the drivers who drives the 32 organization, or another Xfinity Series driver like Riley Herbst, who's probably going to 4 with Suarez Racing, because that is a SHR partner team as well, to my knowledge. Even though they are scaling back, I think they're still going to have a partnership with Suarez Racing. Maybe other guys that go to the Ford, that is a very big possibility. Up next, driving the 34 car in 2021 is going to be Michael Mcdowell. Now, while it's not been confirmed by Front Row themselves, Mcdowell recently had an interview with a bunch of people on Media Day about a week ago, and he basically said he's looking to build on a team. Michael Mcdowell has been really impressive this year to watch. Probably one of the most improved drivers in 2020. He's improved his average finish to under 20th place, which is really, really awesome to see. I think Front Row Motorsports has had a lot more speed this year than they have in the past. I think they're one of the teams that has been helped by the 550 horsepower package and 750 horsepower packages, and he's been really good on the road course as well, which we're going a lot of road course for Trex as well, which is one of Michael Mcdowell's really big strong suits along with super speedways. I think Michael Mcdowell will be a really strong contender next year, and it wouldn't shock me if he's a contender for the top 20 points next year, along with his teammate we're going to talk about here really shortly. But I think Michael Mcdowell will continue to improve as a driver in NASCAR and continue to improve on his success in NASCAR. Up next, driving the 37 car, is going to be Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece recently was rumored to be re-signing with this organization. Ryan Preece, in my honest opinion, he has kind of been one of the most disappointing drivers in NASCAR up to this point. But I think Ryan Preece can really build on it this year, this upcoming season, I should say. I think he really can improve on it as a driver going into 2021. I think there's a really good opportunity for Ryan Preece to get better as a driver coming up next year because he really is going to need to, because I think he's only going to get a one-year extension. But it is expected he will be driving the 37 car full-time in 2021. Up next, driving the 38 car, the other Front Row Motorsports car, is going to be John Nemechek. Like I said, while it is not confirmed about the Front Row Motorsports drivers because they usually don't announce their drivers till early December, John Nemechek is probably going to be driver of the 38. John Nemechek really has kind of had an up and down year. He's had highlights this year of really good speed at Track Lake Darlington as a rookie, similar to Ty Reddick. They got a top 10 there. But John Nemechek has had one of the highest number counts of drivers who's had incidents this year. He's had like 22 or 23 races with incidents. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he just overdrives the car and really is overdriving these cars. I think that's a big reason why he struggled. But I think he really can build on success that he's had, especially at a team like Front Row, and really improve as a driver going into 2021. Up next, driving the 40 car part-time on a Chip Ganassi Racing Inspire mission, I think Jimmie Johnson comes back and runs a few races like the Indianapolis Road Course, and I think he'll run a couple of races like the Daytona 500 as well. Jimmie Johnson, I think, will run part-time in NASCAR next year, which I think that's going to be really cool, really exciting if that does get announced. But I think he'll run a couple races next year. He said he is not done with NASCAR at the moment, and I cannot wait. If he gets this definitely gets announced. It's just a prediction, remember that. But I think he will be driving the 40 car for Chip Ganassi Racing, and I think it's not going to be Alley. It's probably going to be like Lowe's or Gatorade going with him from his IndyCar endeavors, as they're supposed to be announcing their full-time sponsor later today, and that's going to be really exciting when that comes out. Up next, driving the 41 car full-time next year for Stewart-Haas is going to be Cole Custer. Cole Custer, the first half of 2020, was extremely disappointing. But as we've gotten into the 2020 season later in the year, especially since winning Kentucky, he has really taken major steps forward as a Cup Series driver. He's really grown. He's really matured as a driver. He almost made it to the round of 12 this year. He had a lot of speed, especially early in the playoffs, and I think he really could build on that. He's really been one of the most improved drivers as years go on. I think he really can improve on that as a driver going to 2020, as he will be a sophomore driver. He will not be a rookie driver. Up next, driving the 42 car full-time in 2021 is going to be Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain, in my opinion, is one of the best underdogs and one of the best stories coming through the sport. He had to work his way up through the ranks, had to earn his ride. He was really supposed to go to Chip Ganassi Racing in Xfinity in 2019, but we all know the DC Solar situation. That was a really bad situation for all parties. Ross Chastain, I think, will definitely have a really good shot of giving this team a strong run. I think Ross Chastain, like I said, is going to be driving this 42 car. We've known this for about a week or two, the same day as Bubba Wallace's team got announced 23 XI Racing. It's really going to be exciting for Ross Chastain, and I think he will get Chip Ganassi back up to the top and get that 42 car way better than it is. Because I think that 42 car this year, with how bad Matt Kenseth's been, I think he will improve as a driver in 2021. Up next, driving the 43 car full-time, this got confirmed on Wednesday, Erik Jones. Richard Petty Motorsports just got a freaking win with this guy. While I think Erik Jones isn't going to perform as much better as what Bubba Wallace did in 2021, I think Erik Jones is a big win. I think there's a good chance this team could contend for playoffs next year. And I think they will be an NSAC contender for the top 20 in 2021. But it's a big win for Richard Petty Motorsports. They're going to do really good next year, and I cannot wait to see what this team is going to be capable of and what this team is going to do in 2021. Up next, driving the 47 car full-time in 2021 is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will also be in a contract year, to my knowledge, in 2021. I think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has had kind of an up and down year. His big highlight of the year especially was at Talladega, where he finished in the top 5, and his other big highlight was finishing top 5 at Charlotte Superspeedway. he performed really well there at that race. I think he definitely could build on it, but we'll have to see what he does when he gets in the car in 2020. But I'm really excited to see what he can do again in his second year as a veteran in the sport in 2021. I really think he's not a washed-up driver like some people say he is. Up next, driving the 48 car in 2021 is Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman and Gray guys are moving over from the 88 car over to the 48 Ally machine in 2021. They're looking for a clean-cut driver. It was confirmed about 2 weeks ago that he was going to be moving over to this 48 car. He has been one of the biggest rising stars. He's a driver that everyone should support because he did not come from money. He came from talent and just being a really good driver alone. He has performed really well since joining Hendrick Motorsports. He's been a contender for the round of 8 every year, and right now he has a really good possibility of getting championship for granted. Right now he's 27 points back, so he's really going to have to improve. But I think Alex Bowman will probably perform about where he is this year, which isn't a bad thing. That's honestly a really good thing if you're kind of performing, especially in that kind of range. That is not a bad idea, and I think that he will perform really well in 2021 with the 48 team. Up next, driving the 49 car in a part-time status for MBM is going to be Chad Fincham. Chad Fincham has been part of MBM for a couple years. I think he'll run probably like Daytona and Talladega, probably some of the bigger events next year, but I think that Chad Fincham is definitely going to be the driver's car, and I think they'll probably contend for maybe some top 30s, just top 35s, but I think they're going to kind of run in the back like some of like their teammate who we're going to talk about here very shortly. Up next, driving the 51 car full-time in 2021, I think is going to be Gareth Smithley. Again, Gareth Smithley, in my opinion, has been pretty successful in certain areas like the iRacing series, but overall in the racetrack in general, he's been all right. He's not a fantastic driver. He's an okay driver, in my personal opinion, but I think he definitely can improve as a driver and continue to get knowledge in the sport, and I think he can improve constantly as a driver in 2021 with Rare Racing, because I think he's going to go full-time with that team. Up next, driving the 52 car full-time is going to be Cody Ware. Now, Cody Ware is going to be running the Xfinity Series next year with the 17 team because they're getting some experience and getting ready for that. It's pretty cool that Rick Ware Racing is going to be in the Xfinity Series next year, even though I'm not a big fan of Rick Ware in general. But I'm glad to see that they're going to endeavor themselves into NASCAR Xfinity Series. We expect to run 30th to 35th and probably just be a back market, be way slow. And they're probably going to be like that in the Cup Series. I think this will probably either be a full-time car or a part-time car. I'm not sure what it's going to be. But Cody Ware will make some starts in the Cup Series again next year like he did at Talladega. And I think he ran at the Roval, earlier this year, right? I don't remember. I think he ran at the Roval earlier this year. And he did all right, especially in the wet conditions. I think he did pretty well. I think Cody Ware will drive this car in part-time starts for the team, but his main focus will be the Xfinity Series in 2021. Up next, driving the 6.6 full-time is going to be Timmy Hill. Timmy Hill has been with Carl Long's MBM Motorsports for the last 4 or 5 years. He's remaining this team. Don't be shocked. He's been all right. He's been pretty good. His average finish in Xfinity Series, I looked this up, was 23rd place, which is pretty good considering, yes, Xfinity Series field is competition is not as strong as it has been, but I think Timmy Hill could bring a lot to the team. He got a top 5 in the stage at the Charlotte Roval recently. That was really exciting to see. Timmy Hill has a lot of talent. He's a lot of capabilities, and I think he can really build on this, especially as he probably will go full-time with this team in 2021. Up next, driving the 74 car full-time for Spire Motorsports is going to be Cory Ledroy. I think Cory Ledroy is going to end up driving the 74 car full-time for Spire. He says there is an announcement coming next week. He says these are the best cars he's ever driven. I'm not sure if I'm going to believe that or not, but I think that there is a really good opportunity that Cory Ledroy will drive this car. I think Spire will maybe partner up with Richard Racing because we have another driver we're going to talk about. I think he's going to be the other part of that. I think Cory Ledroy has a lot of talent, a lot of capabilities. He got the best out of those Go Fast racing cars, and I think he really do a lot of things, and I think he will be driving for Spire Motorsports in 2021. Up next, driving the other Spire car in the number 77 is going to be Ty Dillon. Like I just mentioned, I think they will be partnered up with RCR, again, RCR development program. Again, they're going to have Hendrick engines next year. They're partnered up with Hendrick, and RCR and Hendrick are working together. I think Ty Dillon will be the other driver at Spire Motorsports in the number 77 car. Again, it's not confirmed, but Ty Dillon has been speaking to teams recently, and I think him and Cory Ledroy are going to be on the same team as Spire Motorsports in 2021. Up next, driving the number 78 car full-time is going to be BJ Mcconnell. Now, it was just acquired today that BJ McConnell and Matt Tiff have bought the charter with Joe Falk. This will probably be the same team that BJ McConnell started earlier this year, which was originally going to be a part-time team next year, but they are going full-time racing. BJ McConnell is probably going to be driver. It might surprise me. We might get someone else who's driving this car, but BJ McConnell will drive to 78 full-time next year, in my honest opinion. I think he's going to do all right. I think they're going to run about where they've been in the past, but I'm really excited to see in the future, especially got a lot of younger owners coming to sport. I'm really excited to see what BJ McLeod and Matt Tifft can do next year as a co-owner organization. Don't expect Matt Tifft to drive the car because of his health conditions he's had in the past, but I'm really excited to see what BJ McLeod can do in a 78 car in 2021. Up next, driving the 96 car. Now, this is the last car that we really don't know at the moment for next year if they're going to be a part-time car or a full-time car for next year. I think they're probably going to, unfortunately, go back to part-time status, unfortunately. But there's going to be a driver who has a lot of talent and a lot of capabilities who I think is going to take that. I believe that Drew Herring, yes, you heard that right, Drew Herring is going to drive the 96 car on a part-time status for Grand Brothers Racing. I don't think they're going full-time next year. I don't think they're going to have the funding to do it to begin with. I think the biggest reason that they ran full-time last year was because Daniel Suarez brought Conscope and Coca-Cola. Now Daniel Suarez is going to a new organization next year. But I think that Drew Herring will do pretty well in this car. I really think once he does get announced in his 96 car, I think he's going to do really well. And I cannot wait to see what Drew Herring is going to do, because I think he's going to the 96 car in 2021. And now we're going to get into the final driver who will be driving full-time in the Cup Series or part-time, Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez, after being at God Brothers Racing, leaving that team in 2020 and going to this new team, he will be driving for Trackhouse Racing in 2021. They will be embedded with RCR. That's something that was confirmed a day or two ago. He will be working with the RCR camp. So there is a really good chance this team could be a playoff contender in 2021 with Justin Marks, who is a person who has raced a long time. So he's gonna be working with someone who has a lot of racing experience. And I cannot wait to see where this team's gonna go next year. I'm really excited to see where this team is headed for the 2021 season. And yeah, that is pretty much all of the driver lineup predictions that I have. Man, this video is like 40 minutes. It is an extremely long video, but I wanted to go through the final driver lineup predictions for next year. The next time I make one of these driver lineup videos, it will be the official full lineup for 2021. You kind of got to see some of that today, but I will release the full 2021 driver lineup when all it is confirmed. It all is reported. Again, this is the final driver lineup predictions for 2020 going into 2021. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications on so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Links description below for that, and comment below your thoughts on today's video. How accurate do you think my picks are? Do you think my picks are incorrect, or do you think I'm way far off? Let me know in comments below. If you enjoyed today's longer video, please like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, so we can get these videos more recommended out to you guys. If you do that, I would really appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.